Shalom, shalom. First, I want to start off by giving all honor, praises, and infinite glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors into the elders, apostles, and bishops, the GMS Great Millstone, who rule well, teach, and edify. Peace and blessings to sincere Akim and Akwat in his household of faith. My name is Yeshaya from the GMS Arizona Church in Ottawa, Ratazah. I'm going to make an edifying video going into this news breakout post from the New York Post. So a pastor charged after grandfather of 7 drowns during baptism. And she said she saw him dancing with the filthy earth. And that name, Jesus, in the Latin translates to filthy earth. You know, it's filthy, it's disgusting, you know. The real name of the Son of the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahweh, is Yahushai. The only begotten Son. He is deliverer, right? He is salvation, okay? That's his real name, pursuant to the Hebrew, or the Ibaryath, as you would say. And the Hebrew is that Lashuan Kodash, man, that pure language which the Lord shall turn us back unto in the land of our captivity. And he has blessed us with that. So all you idiots, man, getting baptized in the name of JC, going to temples made by man's hands, being baptized by women, first of all. You know, there's all types of things wrong with this, man. Let's go. Firstly, let's get this. Okay, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 34. It says, let your women keep silence in the churches. And you know, what are the churches, man? That you know, ultimately it is where the prophets are, man. It's where the men of the Lord are. It's not in these temples made by man's hands. And we can get that in Acts 7 and verse 48. Let's get that real quick, man. This is Acts 7 and verse 48, and it says, howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in the temples made with hands, saith the prophet. You know, they're not, you know, the Lord don't dwell in temples made by man's hands, man. You know, and even if you go back into the ancient times, man, you go back into the Old Testament, okay, and you go to how certain of the tabernacles were constructed. You know, it was highly specific and highly holy. You know, things had depth. You know, a lot of these churches are thrown up, you know, with these cheap-ass woods, cheap-ass screws, with cheap, you know, cheap everything, you know. And then they got a false god. They got a deity hanging up on a cross in the center of it all, man. This bugged out. You know, they got Cesare Borgia, man. I'm not the best brother at spelling, but man. Okay. Cesare Borgia, man. Look at this. So in 1490, Pope Alexander, an artist model, a house I painted after his son, Cesare Borgia. Both father and sons were extremely wicked. You know, this is the false image that they put as the Lord, man, from Cesare Borgia. Okay? And it really goes back into Ptolemy, okay? Because Ptolemy created this deity out of, you know, 2 powers. And he created that deity, you know, because one thing about Christianity is that like anybody could be saved. So they, at that time, Ptolemy, you try to use that deity to unite the people in a sound good doctrine so that everybody could be saved, man. But if you actually know the Bible, you know these scriptures, you know Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has a certain people he's dealing with, okay? He has his elect. He's not dealing with everybody. All nations cannot be saved. You know, only you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have a part in the kingdom of Yahushai. Not you Moabites, okay, you so-called Chinese, not you Ammonites, you so-called Japanese, especially not you Edomites, because y'all even gonna be done away with after 1,000 years, man. You know, he gonna put y'all all in in slavery, man. But look, man, so this pastor charged after grandfather of 7 drowns during baptism, man. You know, she a demon ultimately hopped on this woman. You know, this woman who thinks she's a pastor, you know, trying to baptize this man in the name of JC. Man got baptized straight into the and he really didn't even get baptized. He was just getting drowned in some dirty water. You know, straight to the spirit realm. Says, let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. So, you know, it's not even obedient for, it's not even lawful for a woman to be in the church speaking, man. You know, say you out on the highways and hedges and you got a woman walking up and she trying to say a part about how, you know, about the doctrine. You know, you could, you know, you could shut the fuck, you know, Salakia, you could shut the front door, man. You could shut the front door, straight up. And it says, and if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, because that's the key, man. You Akwath, if you don't have husbands, you know, you be watching the videos, you know, stay diligent, you know, don't let Satan in, man. But ultimately, you really want a man of the Lord, where they learn. So you get a man of the Lord, you no longer watching those videos. You learning from that man, you know, who the Lord set you up with. It says, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in the churches. It is a shame for a woman to speak in the churches, man. You know, women are supposed to be calm, delicate, and very graceful. But Babylon the Great has a woman to be all kinds of wicked, man. You know, it's even a shame for a woman to get drunk, man. If you go out to, you know, your nearest club scene, your nearest bar scene, you ain't gonna see nothing but a bunch of drunk idiot women, man. And a bunch of drunk idiot men that's simping over them, okay? You know, and that's the society we live in, man. This whole place is a shame. And we hastening the day to GTFO, man. We trying to get out of here. You know, Lord willing, on a chariot and not on the back end of a ICBM missile, which the Lord is going to send upon this place, man. But yeah, man, and ultimately, you being baptized, you got to be baptized, you know, in the word, in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You know, the Apostle Paul spoke of that. You know, St. John spoke of that. You know, and even getting, what was that precept I wanted to get? Oh, yeah. This is John. Salakia, bear with me for 1 second. This is John chapter 6 and verse 44. It says, no man could come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. And it is written in the prophets, and they shall be all taught of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Every man, therefore, that hath heard and hath learned of the Father cometh unto me. So us even to get that spiritual baptism, man, we have to ultimately be chosen through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And this is when you get Romans chapter 11 and verse 7. You know, this is Romans chapter 11 and verse 7. It says, what then Israel had not obtained, which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. You know, the thing about the Christian church, man, the wacky-tacky Christian churches, they think that they can choose Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They think they could choose the Messiah, man. They think they could choose the Lord. Okay, you know, I feel like I'm, you know, so, you know, at the point in my life where I really want to choose God, you know. That's their thought process. Is I had a, you know, so-called friend in the world, man. And, you know, he was, you know, all kinds of screwed up in the head, man. He was wicked, you know. And he had one life-ending, you know, a life-threatening injury, and he got past it. Okay. Lord have mercy on him. He had another one just like it and was put in a 3-month coma, and then he woke up talking about, I have a testimony and I need to spread it to everybody. You know, I'm on a testimony mission, you know, and that's the state of these wacky-tacky Christians, man. You know, but even then, he still has You know, you tell him a couple scriptures that line up with his story, you be like, man, that's fire. And then you start telling him about the laws, and then you start telling him about prophecy. Oh no, man, that's crazy. Nah, and it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. And if you have a baptism in the truth, if you are truly baptized in the word and spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, you know the scriptures talk about eat ye therefore the whole loaf. That means you locked into the prophecy. You locked into the name of the Lord. You locked into the Hebrew. Okay, you have the whole doctrine. You swallowed the whole and now, you live by it. And if you a brother, man, eventually when you get to that part of your walking this truth, you start teaching it. You know, that's a man that really is baptized, not some guy, that just takes a dip in some bath water by some black woman. Okay, that's the thing about this world, man, and the thing about these people, they think they have some form of godliness, man, but they don't. What is this scripture right there in Timothy? Having a form of godliness, but rejecting the power thereof. Come on. Salaki, bear with me. Reject power. Come on. Bear with me for 1 second. Second Timothy chapter 3 and verse 5. And this reads, we'll just start right there. It says, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, for such turn away. And that's these wacky-tacky Christians, man. Because ultimately, they trying to get some type of relationship, but it's with the false God. It's a deity. And if you tell them about Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, all that just finna go clean out the window, man. And even you guys that honk your horns at camp, and throw up the shalom, brother, but then don't ever stop by, don't ever be around, and you be camp hopping and all that, you ain't truly in this thing, man. If you truly in this thing, you listening to the full doctrine, okay, which is ultimately from GMS, man, beginning with Elder Apostle Horan down, who the Lord set up as the prophets of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to come and preach this word, man, in these end times. That's that true baptism. This guy right here, this guy, he got judgment because Yahushua took him out. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua took him out. He got called back up. Jake being simple-minded. And for two, he was in a complete wrong place. And Lord willing, this video is edifying to show that because, one, he was at a wacky-tacky Christian church getting baptized by Eve over here and got drowned the hell out. And that even goes to the seeds, man. Some fell on stony ground. Man, this guy completely got drowned. You could drown a plant. No, I'm playing. But, man, ultimately the truth goes out in these highways and hedges by the prophets, man. Not in these poorly built, wacky-tacky Christian churches, man. Okay? But I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to lastly give all honor, praises, and infinite glory to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushua, B'Hashem Chakwadash. Shalom.